As a choreographer, seeing my movement on other dancers is exciting because I see the challenge that might be a bit more seamless for me being my movement, but the challenge then for me is how do I translate it into their bodies, their movement, for them to either express the story of this piece or perhaps the story that I am allowing them to shine through this movement.
My process for this whole dance and dialogue piece has been a little crazy. The movement so far has made me feel really free and expressive. Sometimes I kind of fight the femininity sometimes, and learning this movement has really like pushed the boundaries and really pushed me to engage that femininity and really embrace it.
I'm a contemporary dancer, and I feel like being in this piece has taught me a lot.
2, 3, 4.
Usually when I see Vogue, I see very fun and sharp movements, but now knowing that Vogue can be anything other than that, like with emotions and expressing like your situations, I find it to be like really interesting.
Art could be so much, right? And like how you express yourself, and it's the best thing ever, because as a dancer, like, you know that your body expresses so much more than what you think or what you might lead on, and like that you leave everything at that performance or during rehearsals, like you're giving your 110%.
My background before this was hip-hop. I'm a dancer. Jason's piece has made me feel very confident. I'm a very shy person.
7, 8, 1.
This is a really big challenge because I tend to like to hide in the back and behind people. So being like with less people in a group dancing and like being more in front, it's kind of nerve-wracking, but something that this piece has helped me work on and grow from.
It is very emotional sometimes, like seeing movement and reminding me why I created that movement and maybe what that looks like onto another, and then what the audience or someone who is viewing it might think of it. Would it be in the same timeline of like my mind of how I see the movement, how the dancer receives it, or is it a whole different perspective for the audience? So many things to think about, but that's the best part.
My name is Beverly Lopez, and if I had to describe how the process is going, I would say it's very rewarding, very fun. And it's pretty challenging. Outside of the choreography and the organization of it, it's challenging in a way that it really causes us to think deeper about our relationship to change. Movement in this work definitely infuses a number of different dance forms, including Latin dance forms like bachata, salsa, and cha-cha, house as well, and modern dance. I like to fuse things together to better articulate what it is that I want to say. All of those forms are in my own body, and that is how I choreograph, and I like to share that with others. It's very exciting to see the crossovers between house and salsa. You can almost notice those things immediately. You can notice those commonalities immediately, and that's really refreshing to me, and I like to play with that. Those forms are improvisational based, right? So it's really, really cool and easy to access individuality in that case. And so I utilize that a lot, and I feel like the team is enjoying themselves.
No, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
I'm really working with styles and dance forms that really excite me, honestly, that really engage me and make me really enthusiastic about leading, right? And I do think that when a leader in a space does that, then it's going to have an impact on the team. And I do feel like when we arrive, we're genuinely having a good time, we're having fun, and joy is not left out of it all. I feel like the excitement and the actual joy that's part of this process is big, it's major. And I see that when we come to rehearsal, it's honestly a good time, even though we do get a lot done.
Hi, my name is Victory Ike.
Caroline.
Janelle.
Melanie Graham.
It's Javier Cardenas.
Madison Valentin.
Amanda here.
I am Jason Spears. That's incorporated with Vogue, modern and contemporary, and ballet. My process with the dance piece so far is fun. I like it a lot. Even I like a challenge, something that I need to work on or something that I'm learning.
7, 8.
For Jason's piece, what has been challenging is sort of the transition changes from movement to movement, as well as like different facings. But that has been sort of a good way to sort of get my bearings and learn stuff really quickly, which is something that I've been lacking. So it has been really transformative in that way.
3, 4, go side, 5, 6, 7.
I am new to this dance process. Because I'm new to it, I'm not as experienced as other dancers, but I haven't felt left out. Jason helps me motivate myself, push myself, even though there's times it's like, I tell myself that I can't do this movement, he will be like, why would you say that, try it.
Try it? Yeah. Left over right, so Victory should. My name is Jason Rodriguez, pronouns he, him. I'm here as a guest choreographer at Lehman College. In my mind, I'm thinking I'm doing like this big explosive performance, but I am focusing more of a sense of a process. Right now, processing dance for myself and how do I then pass that on to these dancers. Right now I'm processing different forms of dance and how can I tap to each and every one of them in whichever experience or story that I'm trying to tell. I'm utilizing each and every of these dance forms that I've either been impressed upon, trained, learned from friends, just seen for the first time, such as I've always had Vogue, ballet, modern, contemporary. I've just started getting into J-set. New thing that I do is I watch cheer, which is more like athletic, sportsy, but also has movement in there that inspires me. So all these visuals and all these forms that I see, how can I then bring that into a dance? And so we're here in this process figuring that out. As a choreographer, seeing my movement on other dancers is exciting because I see the challenge that might be a bit more seamless for me being my movement, but the challenge then for me is how do I translate it into their bodies, their movement, for them to either express the story of this piece or perhaps the story that I am allowing them to shine through this movement.
My process for this whole dance and dialogue piece has been a little crazy. The movement so far has made me feel really free and expressive. Sometimes I kind of fight the femininity sometimes, and learning this movement has really pushed the boundaries and really pushed me to engage that femininity and really embrace it.
I'm a contemporary dancer, and I feel like being in this piece has taught me a lot.
2, 3, 4.
Usually when I see Vogue, I see very fun and sharp movements, but now knowing that Vogue can be anything other than that, like with emotions and expressing your situations, I find it to be really interesting.
Art could be so much, right? And how you express yourself, and it's the best thing ever because as a dancer, you know that your body expresses so much more than what you think or what you might lead on, and that you leave everything at that performance or during rehearsals, you're giving your 110%.
My background before this was hip hop. I'm a dancer. Jason's piece has made me feel very confident. I'm a very shy person.
7, 8, 1.
This is a really big challenge because I tend to hide in the back behind people. So being with less people in a group dancing and like people more in front. It's kind of nerve-wracking, but something that this piece has helped me work on and grow from.
It is very emotional sometimes, like seeing movement and reminding me why I created that movement and maybe what that looks like onto another, and then what the audience or someone who is viewing it might think of it. Would it be in the same timeline of like my mind of how I see the movement, how the dancer receives it, or is it a whole different perspective for the audience? So many things to think about, but that's the best part.
My name is Beverly Lopez, and if I had to describe how the process is going, I would say it's very rewarding, very fun. And it's pretty challenging outside of the choreography and the organization of it. It's challenging in a way that it really causes us to think deeper about our relationship to change. Movement in this work definitely infuses a number of different dance forms, including Latin dance forms like bachata, salsa, and cha-cha, house as well, and modern dance. I like to fuse things together to better articulate what it is that I want to say. All of those forms are in my own body, and that is how I choreograph, and I like to share that with others. It's very exciting to see the crossovers between house and salsa. You can almost notice those things immediately. You can notice those commonalities immediately, and that's really refreshing to me, and I like to play with that. Those forms are improvisational based, right? So it's really, really cool and easy to access individuality in that case. And so I utilize that a lot, and I feel like the team is enjoying themselves.
Diagonal 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
I'm really working with styles and dance forms that really excite me, honestly, that really engage me and make me really enthusiastic about leading, right? And I do think that when a leader in a space does that, then it's going to have an impact on the team. And I do feel like when we arrive, we're genuinely having a good time, we're having fun, and joy is not left out of it all. And I feel like the excitement and the actual joy that's part of this process is big, it's major. And I see that when we come to rehearsal, it's honestly a good time, even though we do get a lot done.
Hi, my name is Victory Ike.
Caroline.
Janelle.
Melanie Graham.
It's Javier Cardenas.
Madison Valentin.
Amanda here.
I am Jason Spears. That's incorporated with Vogue, modern, contemporary, and ballet. My process with the dance piece so far is fun. I like it a lot. Even I like a challenge, something that I need to work on or something that I'm learning.
7, 8. For Jason's piece, what has been challenging is sort of the transition changes from movement to movement, as well as like different facings. But that has been sort of a good way to sort of get my bearings and learn stuff really quickly, which is something that I've been lacking. So it has been really transformative in that way.
3, 4, go side, 5, 6, 7, 8.
I am new to this dance process. Because I'm new to it, I'm not as experienced as other dancers, but I haven't felt left out. Jason helps me motivate myself, push myself, even though there's times it's like tell myself that I can't do this movement, he'll be like, why would you say that, try it.
Try it? Yeah. Left over, right? So, Victory should. My name is Jason Rodriguez, pronouns he, him. I'm here as a guest choreographer at Lehman College. In my mind, I'm thinking I'm doing this big, explosive performance, but I am focusing more of a sense of a process. Right now, processing dance for myself and how do I then pass that on to these dancers. Right now I'm processing different forms of dance and how can I tap to each and every one of them in whichever.
Hi everybody. Thank you all so much for being here tonight. We're super excited to have you here for Dance and Dialogue 2022. We have the amazing choreographers Beverly Lopez and Jason Rodriguez here with us tonight. And we also have Giovanni Fernandez, who is going to be moderating the discussion. So we designed this series to involve people in understanding the process of making dances. So you'll watch a little dance first, then there'll be time for some conversation with the choreographer, another dance, some time for conversation with the choreographer, and then you'll have an opportunity to ask some questions if you want to. So we'll be going back and forth a little bit. There's one trigger warning. There is a violent image at the end of Jason's piece. So we're just giving you a heads up about that. And please don't, no flash photography, please don't record any of the performance. But I think that's it. Enjoy, and thank you so much for being here tonight. Unlearning. Unlearning. Desaprendiendo. Starving. Unlearning.
All right, y'all. Let's give it up one more time for Beverly and the dancers. Beverly, thank you so much for just that piece. I mean, the time and energy, everything you put into those dancers, they clearly shown, they came through. So I want to pick your brain a little bit, so I just want to kind of see what was going on in your mind with this piece, Pivot, right?
Yes, Pivot.
So, first thing I want to kind of get into, and like, I want you to share as much as you would like to. I don't want to make them rebuttal, anything what you want to say. But what were some of those like kind of experiences, or just some of those like, just like those items in life that really kind of drove the idea of like what Pivot was going to be? What were some of those inspirations that drove the actual idea of it before even choreography or anything really did the stage? What was that? What were the things that came together to bring this idea?
Right. So I have experienced like a lot of life changes most recently, as many of us probably have, but to the point where my life was very, very different, like completely different, like from like maybe a few months ago.
Right.
I experienced abrupt change and uninvited change.
Right.
But sometimes change is invited, right? Transitions are invited. You intentionally, you know, go to a place where you're like, I want to be somewhere else, and I want to do something else, and I want to do something different. But most recently, I experienced change that I was forced into, and I have a very bitter relationship to change right now in this season of my life. Even though I understand its value and it's how necessary and inevitable change is, I still feel like I appreciate it so very much, but just feel very frustrated and angered by it. So I just felt like I needed a place to have that conversation, and to like process, right? And Dance and Dialog is probably the best place to not only practice your own craft as a choreographer, but also be in conversation and in dialogue with other artists who are also asking similar questions as you. So I really went into this process trying to just talk about change, and personal change, individual change, but also societal change, right? We've all, as a community, as a world, experienced so many great changes. Most recently, quiet changes, and no one knows about secrets. Right, aging. Let's talk about it. So I feel like I just think it's important, and I wanted to create a work that deals with that.
Right, and honestly, like even just like getting to really like, I mean, I got to witness this piece again tonight, and picking up on just like small like motifs, and like seeing some of the repetition, the break-offs, those moments, and like seeing those changes throughout the piece. And I think that like that was like I think one of your biggest words, right? Those come into your mind. It's like, there's something like you have currently in life, but then like something unforeseen, or even something that you did invite, right? And then that how it kind of came into the piece. From the break-offs in the groups, some people were doing the same thing. People had solos, everything. Beautiful. Thank you. So in relationship to your dancers, right? Because as a choreographer, I think like it's great that you have this idea, you have something that like is really moving you, and I think this like word of change, right, is big for you. But in translation, when you're communicating with other people, that can kind of be translated differently. So my question to you is, how did you like either prompt tasks to your dancer or get them to this place to be able to contribute and understand like this vulnerable like piece of yours? So what were some of those things that you kind of helped build that relationship with the dancers, and then help it build this vision of Pivot that is now today?
Right. Yeah, I think I carried out the beginning of this process, like this workshop, in which, you know, we were able to not just sit around and just talk about like what had happened to me, which is valuable and is what actually did happen a lot of times, but it wasn't the only way I was going to try to access like some personal experiences. And so we did like poetry together. We did 5-word poems. We did a word list in which we thought about certain topics and then just blurted out words that we felt like related to whatever those topics were. A lot of the words that kept coming up for us was disconnect, isolation, disorientation, unlearning, which is some of the words that we have in the work, spiraling. And those words came about after a number of like exercises involving poetry, and the poems that we created, I also told the dancers that like utilize utilize this text and generate movement based on what you have written for yourself. And it's a lot of time it was private, but then a lot of the times we have opportunities to share as much as we wanted to. And I think it's important to include and involve the dancers in the process, because that's what Dance and Dialogue is about. That's the whole point, right? For us to talk about something together and then share something together. And so my aim to try to really bring out authentic stories that each dancer had was just, it took a little bit of time, but it's work that's necessary in order to like really create a real culture and a comfortability among your cast and your ensemble.
Right, and it's beautiful too, because I think it's amazing what comes out of sometimes commonality in the text, right? So like you may say change, and you may walk very differently than I would if I had to say change. And I think we got that snippet too, in like a section of the piece where you had that spoken word, had a little bit of Spanish in the corner too, and people were having different movement. There was like,
yeah, that was a choice that Beverly decided. So can I say it in Spanish? I'm like, absolutely.
I love it. I love it.
And there's a moment, for example, with Beverly and Jamaica, that's their choreography straight up. Other moments where you see Javi and Amanda, and they're doing an intense, like, heavy duet, and it came from their own relationship to transition. Right. And so I just tried to make sense of whatever they were saying and offer a lot of like dance skill, technique, and like choreography that I also am passionate about as well.
Right, and you know what, speaking of dance skill, this actually gets into my third question. So, because I did see a lovely blend of like styles in there. I saw a little bit of house, the salsa, you know, all like the steps, even like having like some of the modern moments, and like even like the improv, like those exercises, things like that, like responses to even like the words. So, I think this is sometimes like a big conversation, whether like you're, you know, within the street dance community, whether you're in like in a modern or like a conservatory, but there's like this sense of like, is there more important for, at least for you, to like have one, hone one, master just one and have this, or have much more of a exposure to other styles? And like, what impact does that make for you, like in your choreography, and like when you do improv? Do you tend to cling to something versus another? Like, what is it for you? Do you want people to more focus on like one thing, or having that exposure to like a multiplicity of items?
I think the answer to that question is it depends on the dancer, it depends on the artist, and what the artist is like aiming to do. Yeah. So if an artist knows that I am a ballet dancer, period, like, and this is what my life is, and this is what I enjoy, this is what I want to pursue. Right. But for me, I always felt like I just landed in the gray area. I was homeless, she's homeless, quite literally. Quite literally. That song hits hard, you know, for many reasons. But I always felt like I was a jack of all trades, master of none, and you know, there's a lot of good reasons. There's a lot of good ways to feel about that. But I feel like I'm a human being. I'm a container. I have all the archives from all the experiences that I've had in my life, from like Coffee with Grandma to the house class I took, to the cypher I was in once upon a time, to the bachata team that I'm working with now, to modern dance classes with Amy Larimer. Like, I'm a container, and all of it has been downloaded and stored, and I just feel like me as an artist personally, I naturally just utilize it, comes up for me, and it shows up for me. Yeah. And so I guess you can consider me somewhat of a fusion contemporary artist, in which you'll see salsa, bachata, house, cha-cha, a little bit of hip hop, and modern dance, right? And improvisation, and a little theater, and a little text, because that's the complexity of who I am. Like, I'm a very complex human being, and my art really displays that. So when I'm in a rehearsal process, I want to invite people to kind of be that complex as well. And I'm not so picky about like, you must know all of these things, but you know, like I said last night, one thing I need is the sauce. So when you got the sauce, we can put it in the soup, and we can make it work. You know what I'm saying? In terms of like casting people and working in collaboration with people. And also people who are really grounded and introspective and able to have these kinds of conversations. That's important to me too.
And listen, the complexity of everything, that human approach that you had, it's shown tonight, and it was just beautiful. So thank you again for choreographing and getting these dancers ready for this. Now, y'all, we're gonna get into our next segment. Let's just give it one more time for Beverly. All right, y'all, so we're gonna give about 3 or 4 minutes into our next show, so sit tight.
We have a funny light situation happen, so we're just gonna turn off the fancy lights, turn on the ugly lights. Hopefully that'll fix the fancy lights, and then we'll be all good. So it'll just take 1 second.
That's what. Go ahead. Go ahead.
No, you're good. I just wanted
to. Hi, my name is Victory Ike.
Caroline.
Janelle.
Melanie Graham.
It's Javier Cardenas.
Madison Valentin.
Amanda here.
I am Jason Spears. That's incorporated with Vogue, modern and contemporary, and ballet. My process with the dance piece so far is fun. I like it a lot. Even I like a challenge, something that I need to work on or something that I'm learning.
7, 8. For Jason's piece, what has been challenging is sort of for the transition changes from movement to movement, as well as like different facings. But that has been sort of a good way to sort of get my bearings and learn stuff really quickly, which is something that I've been lacking. So it has been really transformative in that way.
3, 4, go side, 5, 6, 7.
I am new to this dance process. Because I'm new to it, I'm not as experienced as other dancers, but I haven't felt left out. Jason helps me motivate myself, push myself, even though there's times it's like, tell myself that I can't do this movement, he will be like, why would you say that, try it.
Try it? Yeah. Left over right, so Victory should. My name is Jason Rodriguez, pronouns he, him. I'm here as a guest choreographer at Lehman College.
How's this guy? Am I in the shot? Definitely. Just tap me.
did. That was intense. I mean, just like from the ground, like from the jump, already just like going off. Like this, I don't know who it was in the corner, but they were eating it up.
Madison.
Madison, she ate that, and I was like, I'm not gonna, I can't. I was like, I can't. It was a lot, and it was great at the same time, you know. And then just like through the moments of just like the vulnerability, and then back up, picking it up, and just like the ebbs and flows of everything. Just like y'all, Jason.
Yes.
This is the second time watching it, and I'm
Right.
still just, you know, I'm here. I tried to reference the name of all the animes, couldn't, because I was too focused. I was too focused on these dancers.
Well, I could reference them for you. You got Yu Yu Hakusho.
Yes.
You have Mob Psycho 100.
Yes, that's one.
You have the new Dragon Ball Super movie.
Right.
If you haven't seen it, please go see it. If you like anime, because they give like Piccolo and Gohan justice.
Right.
I forgot what
JoJo.
JoJo Bizarre Adventure.
That's one of my favorites.
Golden
Wind, exactly.
I think that was it.
And Demon Slayer.
Demon Slayer.
See?
The Battle Blockade. Not a lot of people watch that one.
Right. See that?
And Tokyo Ghoul, I think.
Oh.
Or maybe it didn't make the cut, but it's supposed to be them.
But listen, thank you so much.
Jujutsu Kaisen. I heard that.
Yes.
Who said that?
The last minute entry.
I heard.
Well, listen, I'm gonna pick your brain for a little bit. You know, I just want to really get to know a little bit more behind, of course, like getting to the piece because it's beautiful, but like I want to see how'd you get there, right? So, as much as you're willing to share, because this was such a huge, like, and I told you yesterday, I still believe it today. This could have been a literal, like, I felt like this was a short film on a human life, and just like from beginning to start.
Yeah.
And so, just like what were for this piece, lost in the losses, right? What were some of those just like inspirations? What were those like kind of like bits and nuggets of like either life or nature, just even movement, anime? What were those things that like really fueled this?
I feel like definitely moments to actually digest life, like actually using art to take time to process things.
Right.
So I felt like I took time to process 2 big losses in my life.
Right.
And also making sure not to just be stuck in the losses, but things that still keep me like breathing and alive, like waking up, watch anime. My mentor, Benny Ninja, he was the first one there, so that reference of Vogue, of like, why am I voguing, who allowed me to do so,
Right.
who can't vogue, and who I can vote for.
Right.
So I feel like just, it was definitely references of life. So like digesting loss, but still keeping those glimmers of light to keep you up and alive to process them, because they're heavy and they're not easy, but they're part of life. So I feel like heavy as things are, you need to find comfort and strength in the things that are lighter and allow that to help you process. So yeah.
No, absolutely, and I believe that in the way like this piece really had its ebb and flow. It had like its inhale, exhale, and just all of that breathness. Even though it was heavy, there was still a lot of jumping up, here, there, floor work,
and I made
upward,
sure to balance
forward,
that
right?
again. It's like I use this opportunity to like create art, like how I talked to you last time, or yesterday, no, or last time. But yesterday, I'm always like in these pockets of work, especially in my industry, to have to please somebody.
Right.
Like it's a part to please a process, to make sure someone's happy with the work I give. It has to be edited. It has to be to someone's likeness for my finance of survival. That's most of the time when I vogue, when I just do whatever I do. So this was an opportunity just to create, just to put things out there with no care of, I guess, how other people feel about it. Because most of the time, all I care about is how people feel about it.
Right.
Even though I walk with this air of not caring, but I do care.
Right.
So I feel like these are like the first opportunities of me like thinking of self and being selfish, and I think in a sense that can also be healthy as long as it's not harming.
Right.
So yeah, I was just trying to be selfish for a moment for myself and create something for myself and not feel like I have to check a box for anybody,
Right.
but for myself.
And even though you were selfish, you gave a lot to everybody tonight.
Yes,
so,
yes. Hopefully.
And that's what I'm trying to strive for, shoot. Now, there's a lot that went into this piece, right? And there's a lot of like polarizing different like kind of textures and ideas. Like you have light, dark, you got upbeat, downbeat, you got R&B, you got like stone cold music, right? Like there's like so many layers to it. So like, in what ways did those kind of ideas influence or make those decisions for your choreography? Like the movement, the way you embody that in the dancers. How did that influence that?
Definitely, I usually start like with a baseline of kind of movement. Most of my movement comes in reference to like my mentor Kevin Wynn, Burgess, also from Vogue. And then I really just sit and listen to music in reference to what I'm trying to say.
Right.
And then I'm like literally in my living room and just like moving to the music and see how I feel, and then how can I then transfer that to the dancers. So it starts with bass movement,
right.
Then creating movement with intention, right. Then conversation. So hopefully each movement from beginning to end has an intention. So you're literally either listening, seeing, hearing, or watching a story is the idea at the end of the day. So if you're not watching the dancing, you might be watching the visual, or if you're like, oh, that's Tiana, sing the song, that's my song. Just like, and also for 27 minutes, just to make sure that you're stimulated, pretty much, in some sense. So I didn't want anybody to come here and just watch dance. You can watch the visuals, you can hear the music, just like a 360 experience, so it can fit for as many people possible. So I guess it starts with a base, and then it evolves to making sure that there's intention.
Right, and it's beautiful because it just happens so naturally, right? Because you're connected with some sort of source, whether that's visually, whether that's musically, and the dancers, like, they did it. Even when Tiana Taylor, she had her moment, she came out the stage. Even the one that was eating up in the corner over
Madison,
there. Yeah, and I was just like, she was in it. She didn't even see me, she just saw herself dancing. I was like, but that was connected, that was natural.
It's like they're like, palettes of the story. So I feel like they take on these characters and these movements and then find where are the moments to then be human. The moments where you just see them breathe, like not just thinking of like the next step, but like breathe, because they're dancers, but they're still human. And to make sure that that's seen. And I feel like that allows the enjoyment of watching them succeed in steps and also them not succeed in steps. Just from that one moment of just being like, oh, that's a human, mistakes are okay. Without mistakes, you wouldn't know what success looks like. So making sure that the humane portions allow you to enjoy both, not just what societal norm tells us what we should only celebrate, which is our success. But it's like, I celebrate my mistakes. If I didn't have any mistakes, I wouldn't do anything that I've done. And I see my mistakes, and I'll hug them, and I'll celebrate them, and I'm learning to talk about them, because without any of those, I would never succeed. And I'm still succeeding, and I'll still make mistakes. And I feel like that conquers my biggest fear in a visual where you see their mouths moving. I ask them just to like speak their biggest fear, and mine is to be monotone as an artist. But if I celebrate my mistakes and my success, that'll never happen. I'm good. So yes, that went somewhere else.
Right,
Yeah.
but you know what? It's beautiful because it kind of answers a little bit of my next question, right? And that's like the relationship with your dancers. And so, being a choreographer, being a visionary, being someone that has like this like driving force inside of you, it's hard to kind of translate that onto like your dancers and for them to understand something that might be super personal to you and only you can like truly identify 100%, right? So what were those things that like you really helped expose to your dancers, whether that was like from like a dance vocabulary or even just like how to have like a living moment, like even like how oh my gosh, forgetting his name, homeboy was looking at his, at Javi, right?
Javi looking at Caroline.
Yes, and just having a moment to really breathe. Like, what were those like kind of tasks you like had your dancers go through to be prepared for something like this?
Definitely, conversation of what this piece is about. So, I told them about my losses. I think the first thing I was like, yeah, this is about my ex. Because I miss him, and I'm like, well, this is a way to try to celebrate
the
miss, the loss, the love. So they're like, oh, And then talking to them of like the loss of my dad and speaking to them and just having conversations and talking to them of like what movement reminds you of your ex. Like, let's go, 1 count of 8. And that was that section during Potion where they like moved in unison. Like that was all their movement in the sense of a loss of a partner. And then the conversation of, you know, that one section with Javi and Caroline and the visual, you know, I had to make sure that they felt comfortable about that. So if they didn't feel comfortable and up to the task, that section would not exist. So I appreciate them so much for that. And a couple of them resonate to it as well, because I know that I'm not the only person who's lost somebody in a violent way. So I appreciate that, you know, they take on that task and hopefully it helps them digest their loss as well. And for anybody looking as well, because we have to look at it. I feel like when we don't, it just eats us up. So I feel like for me, that is a selfish moment for me to keep looking at that and digest it. And I want to digest it because I want to keep living. I want to keep moving forward. And I don't want this to deter me, this lack of communication of a loss to then be a lack of communication in all other portions of my life. Because I'm trying to live out.
Absolutely. And listen, you were living, these dance were living, y'all were living too, right? Y'all were living. Okay, good.
Oh yes, and sorry, in part 1 of the dance forms, my God, yes, like it went from Vogue to like modern to like contemporary to like J-Set to like Breathe Ho to like all these movements, but also the challenge of it was to like, don't let dance forms like, don't stick to one dance form. Why? I feel like one thing that I learned when I started training in concert dance, it's like, just do modern, just do contempt, and go join a dance company. I'm like, that is so limiting. I'm like, what if that's not my fit? And then I feel like I'm being fed to fit. So I feel like tap all the dance forms and be like, I don't like that one, I don't like that one, I like this one. Oh, this is my, you'll never know unless you explore. So I feel like I wanted to task them with exploration. Like Vogue, Jace, all these things and see what feels good. And if they don't feel good, show that in your dance as well. It's about expression, and it's not always about good expression. It's about expression, whatever that looks like. So yes, they did a lot of dance forms.
And listen, I would not have been convinced if they didn't like a single dance form. Because even, the J-Set, they were in it, and some people in the audience know, I'm looking at y'all, already know about J-Set and how demanding it can really be.
Yes, I hope it looks, okay.
But listen, thank you so much, Jason, for this time. Let's give it one more time. Yes, dancers, also Beverly, dancers, folks, come on through. Because now we want to give, I just have one more question I want to ask everybody, and then I want to give it to the audience. Because I want y'all to be able to participate and kind of, ask a question, have a conversation. So, and I have to steal it from MX, so thank you for this. But who is an alumni? I am. And then who is from the area? Like from the Bronx, the Heights, Harlem, like Uptown, right? So seeing this, right, and being able to come back to a moment in time, right, where you spent most of your life, you've had iconic moments, and then now you've come back in a different phase of life. Now as a choreographer, as a dancer, a performer, whatever that may be, what impact has that had on you, and how do you want to continue that impact, moving forward? And I'm giving this to everybody. So marinate on this, marinate on it.
Oh, you had to act like that. Damn.
And I asked because I think representation is so important. Because one, the first thing I noticed was there's 2 Latina people like up here, like choreographing and being here in the Bronx, representing, especially like from multifaceted background, everything, across, like everything. So it's just like, it gives me goosebumps being able to come to Lehman College and see the multiplicity that is here, the amazing talent that's here, from various backgrounds. So I just want to give that to y'all. And like, what is that in your life?
I
think I need a moment, actually.
That's fine. Take a moment. Take a moment.
Let her go then.
Damn. I got to phrase the question.
I know. I'm sorry.
What did I say yesterday? Honestly, I'm gonna go over it, Javi, because I gotta get it over with. Honestly, I'm just thinking about being an M18, and I have memories of being an M18. I have memories of sitting over there in the corner when I sprained my hamstring and couldn't like dance for a whole semester, and was just hoping that I didn't flunk. And you know, I just, first of all, Lehman College validated me earlier in my dance journey. A lot of people who go to conservatories or who have different kinds of dance journeys don't get a comforting, safe space so soon, right? And I was like starting out dance, and as I was starting out dance, I was already told that you can choreograph and you can set work and you can put work on a stage. And usually you don't really get that opportunity until much later on, you know, when someone validates you and says, now you can. But this kind of a learning experience in this format, it really validated me and allowed me to like begin sooner and just go. And since then I haven't stopped. And obviously it's the way in which, you know, Amy Lai Romero like has organized the program. So shout out to Amy, clap it up. Clap it up. College is basically home base. Like I actually posted this the other day. Lehman is home base because when I think about who are the close collaborators that I am working with today, and the people that I #admire like crazy, and just people that are actually like solid. Like you're the one. Like you are the one. Day one. Are Lehman alumni? Like quite literally. And I'm thinking to myself, I didn't recognize that until like being here and then talking about being an alumni and thinking about that and thinking about who's dope and who's an alumni that's really amazing doing, and I'm just like, wow. So I feel like there is a network that has been untapped of alumni, and I think that there's a flow that should be happening going forward. You know, we're out of pandemic days, kind of, sort of, not really. We're out of quarantine. And we're face to face, and we have the ability to be in spaces like this. So I'm excited for the possibility of like doing more with Lehman College, and just understanding that like we all want to be connected, all want to stay connected, and like there's so much talent and like openness and availability to contribute to the program more and our own artistic practices. So, yeah.
What was the question again?
So being back essentially like in a new phase of life in your area, what does that kind of mean to you? What impact does it have on you, and what impact do you kind of serve on others?
Okay, so on a day-to-day basis, I'll be in like Lower Manhattan teaching musical theater, like jazz, tap, and I don't get an opportunity to venture out into different styles. So coming to Lehman, MX over here really gave us an opportunity to dip our toes into like house, breakdancing, and a little bit of Vogue. And then I mentioned this yesterday, I've been trying to get into Jason's class for like forever. But because I work with kids and it's mostly after school, my schedule doesn't allow me to take his class regularly. So I've been trying to get into class with Jason for the longest, and Lehman actually gave me that opportunity, and I didn't even have to pay for it. You know what I'm saying? And all of that was a blessing in disguise. Like he pushed us to be even greater than I thought I could be. Anyway, I'm not gonna talk to him, but like he pushed me for real. And it was just such a beautiful opportunity to be able to come back and I graduated in May, but it kind of felt like I didn't leave. I performed with these lovely ladies just last year, and met some other alumni that I didn't even know, and we had such a good time doing it. And I think the camaraderie of all of that is really, really special. And I think it's gonna continue to bring us back into this safe space. I think it's something now.
Yeah, I can say something. My name is Steven. I graduated in 2017. part of it from the perspective of the audience, but to be in it, I feel like the impact that it's had on my life doing this work, kind of like what Javi said, I work with kids. I don't get a chance to really venture out and explore so much different choreographic styles, but I've been working with Beverly on and off for like 5-6 years.
It was the first dance piece I ever choreographed.
Yes.
Just saying.
And I feel like, yeah, just this space for me, I feel like this was like my launch pad into dance. Like it's where I got my start, my beginnings, and yeah, I feel like for me this space has always been about community and connecting with everyone. And so being back here, I feel like it's been like a timeless time skip moment, and it's like kind of nostalgic, and I feel like my reasons for coming back are kind of selfish, but it's also getting to know all these other fantastic, talented human beings, and being in this space has always been sort of like that cultivating, like incubation for creativity, and I'm so grateful to have been a part of this. And for me, it's just been eye-opening for like what talent is coming and what talent is just around us constantly. So thank you so much.
Thank you. All right, y'all, let me open it to y'all. What questions have we got here? What questions do you guys want to ask?
Y'all did amazing.
Or we have to go one at a time. Everyone say how great they are. Go. Do we have any questions at all for the choreographers or for the dancers themselves? Anything at all? No pressure. Don't be shy. They're like, oh my gosh.
There were so many questions yesterday.
Right, they're like, should I ask a question? Maybe I shouldn't. Maybe I shouldn't. Should I ask a question? Not me. Let me wait some.
I have a question for the choreographers.
Ooh, okay.
So we had a 5-week rehearsal process. Can you talk about like your process? How was that? You know, what was takeaways, strengths, weaknesses?
Wants to go first?
I mean, I'll go first. I mean, obviously, pushing them in all these dance forms with no expectation that they actually know them, obviously, is gonna take a minute. But I also told myself that, so like in moments of like repetition and just reviewing things, I'm like, this is a reality, so be patient. Like, what am I gonna be here like haggling one of them for like a step that's might be brand new to their body. So I made sure to support them. Like, okay, let's just do this step again. I feel like they got more frustrated, some of them, than I did. I'm here just like, I'm okay. But I feel like that also feels good because it means they care. So at least they're not just like upset because I'm like, I don't want to do this, but it's like, I'm not getting this. So at least that's like, I think that's healthy because it makes them want to be like, well, I want to figure it out. So I hope that they go home and like figure it out and then come back and you know they've got it. So I feel like that portion of the process, like obviously, how do you find a dancer with like all the dance forms that you want to utilize to say a story is a bit difficult. So just making sure that you have patient hands. And I don't know, I feel like just being human. I feel like I learned that from my mentor, Kevin. Like, if you literally go on YouTube and look at Kevin Wynn, it's like the fastest flipping movement you'll ever see, and we had to do that in college. But he was so like human about it. Like, you made a mistake, he just laughed at you, and you're like, oh okay, let me not do it again. But it was like in a healthy way, not in a pitting way or a bring you down type of way. It's just human. You made a mistake, you look bad, you're gonna laugh, move on. But also it humanizes you as a dancer. It lets you know that the mistake is healthy rather than not acceptable. So I feel like I just try to be as human as possible in the process. And in moments that I like attempted to plan and like didn't go as planned, but it took a different route, I just embraced them. So I think I was a human the whole time. They would agree. They saw all sides of me. You did?
Yeah. Just checking.
Just checking.
What about you, Bev?
I think takeaway that I have is like, I really feel like with this process that my passion for social dance forms have been validated, and that like, I haven't been able to use the way I did in many like pieces. So this was like another experience of infusing like social dance forms, and I just feel like I'm a community oriented person, and that's like showing up in my work more and more nowadays. And I feel like the way the feedback I got from this group, the way they found joy in most of it, I feel like it's something therapeutic to share. The usage of social dance forms is self-healing, it's self-care. And I feel like more than ever, it's affirming that for me. So I'm excited to continue to grow as a choreographer, get even better at utilizing all of those forms and sharing it with people, not because it looks fun and it looks dope and it looks like impactful and it can be used to tell stories, but because it's having a good impact on culture and the way we relate to one another and just joy. Yeah.
Beautiful, beautiful. Well, listen.
No questions.
No questions? One more.
What?
Two more.
For one, I just want to acknowledge, for those who aren't dancers, how heroic it is that they were able to learn and perform all of that in the short amount of rehearsal. So can we just clap for that? Because I danced and I was like, oh hell no, this piece is so long. So kudos to you for that.
Actually.
Yeah, but what I'm curious about, and this is a little for some of the body and society students who are required to be here. I'm curious about, I've taken some classes with Jason, and I feel like I walked differently out of that class than I did walking in. Like, me walking down the street felt different because of the walking that we did in class and the intention that we brought to it. So I'm curious about what you now have in your body from this process, and what of that you take forward.
Yes.
Okay, for me, well, a lot of people, especially, even though I just met Jason, he caught on to it very fast. And I guess a lot of people who do know me can relate. I mean, well, understand, I'm a very shy person. Although I've been performing for a very long time, I'm still very shy, and Jason has grown out confidence in me. So ever since we've been practicing, my confidence has built a lot more. So even from yesterday's performance and today, to me, the first time I looked up, I had my head up. So I feel like I'm more confident in who I am and in dancing. So it boosted my confidence. Woo!
There's this thing that Jason does when he shows you a piece of choreography. Don't look at me. Like, he'll show you something, right? And he'll like smirk and look at you out the corner of his eye. Like, yeah. And then, but this is it, right? Yeah. Okay. That right there. I don't know if you've noticed when I came back in, but I was like, yeah. Like, it's just. I don't know. It's so contagious, but like that fearlessness, like that zhuzh, like yeah, stole that. But then Beverly does this other thing where Beverly makes everything a sound effect. So every 3 in the morning, I'm like, like just, I don't know. It's just little things about that really resonate and it's stuck.
Also, for Beverly's piece, we talk a lot about grounding ourselves and like connecting with Mother Earth. So I'm a person, I'm the opposite. I tend to be more upright, and so that like grounding and connecting to, the ground and feeling yourself grounded was different for me. So I appreciated that aspect of it for sure. But I love the comments.
Change your whole headspace.
So I have also something to say. For me, my experience with you was so nice because I see many choreographers very hard on dancers. You chill, like take your time. I understand you because you understand how it's to be on this side, and I'm really glad that I did this with you. So thank
you. So I feel like definitely doing Jason's piece. It may not be like a physical growth, but I'm very uncomfortable with talking. So like you guys see, I can dance, I can do all that, but the talking part is a little hard. And I know you guys see over here, I was talking to you guys. So I feel like I've definitely gotten comfortable with being uncomfortable, just a little bit more, which is very big as a dancer. So that's
I would just say I just appreciated the patience that Jason had with me specifically, because I'm not as experienced as all the other dancers. I'm more like in the acting and I don't even feel. So this was an experience that helped me grow. And I just love I love the patience that you have with me. Especially like times that I would literally I would say I could not, I would look at him like he's crazy when he shows me something. He's like, no, try it. And, it's just the patience. Thank you.
Okay, I'm not great at speaking, so I'm going to try my best. I'm very new to Vogue, and I feel like with this experience, I have grown very confident in this form. And Jason has also fixed me up a bit and say look up, and you got to be confident. You got to show that you can do it. Even though you're new, you just act like you know it. Act like you've been doing this for all your life, because the audience don't know your experience. And just from this performance, I feel like I'm very proud and I'm very grateful for you. So yeah.
Don't act like y'all are dancers, because y'all are dancers, okay? What you guys did right now, come on. Y'all are dancers. You're not just an actress. All right, I think that's it now for questions. Any last one? Oh, two more. Sit up. Who goes first?
It's the last day, y'all.
Right.
I'll speak, but if I start crying, just ignore me.
Last night.
What was the question?
What was your takeaway from the process? What you learned and what you took away?
Okay. I learned a lot. Okay? It was a lot. It was
Recap the whole process.
No, it was an emotional process for me for sure. I just got to Lehman not too long ago. And this is really been my first time performing. As a dancer, I've always wanted to be a dancer, and Lehman has given me the opportunity, even though I haven't had formal training. And I think just having this opportunity was huge. It was really grateful. I'm very honored to be in this presence, in this space, and to have Jason as my teacher and learn just so much from him. Not even just as a performer, but even personal. Just being able to be yo, you gotta just do it. You can't limit yourself. And I know I'm an overthinker. People who know me know that I am an overthinker, over warrior. I stress myself out all the time. And just this whole process alone, it was a lot. It was intense. I wanted to quit so bad because I was like, oh my god, this is not made for me. There's been times where I'm like, oh my god. In class or during rehearsals, I'm like, I'm not a dancer, I can't do this. And Jason was so patient, so kind, like so supportive. Like it was really like I was beating myself up more than I shouldn't have. And like just him being somebody that's so much more knowledgeable and like had so much more experience, for him to like pour into me, like I will forever be grateful for that. So thank you so much for this space. And thank you again for that part. You know what that meant a lot for me and you. So again, a million times thank you. Thank you for everybody here. Thank you for the school. I'm like really, really appreciative. I feel honored, despite everything else. Yeah, it was a lot. It was a lot. And I'll just keep it at that.
Don't be shy.
A takeaway was being very patient with yourself as you collect and receive new movement. I'm someone that tries to get the movement as perfect as I can the first time I learned it. And in practice, we go over about like 10,000 times. I kid you not, if someone messes up, let's go, 5, 6, 7, 8. And I don't know, that really took, not a toll, but it really set me back. Like, you don't have to have it as soon as you learn it. Like, it's okay, go home, watch the video, get the music, call someone or something to figure out that it's okay. So I'm really honored, and I'm really happy that I got this experience. I don't even know if I was gonna get this experience at all. So I'm really happy that it fit into my schedule. I met new people. I got Adidas.
That's right.
I'm so happy because I don't even understand. Like, this opportunity was definitely special. I can't, if I had $1 million, I would definitely, like, this is how much, that's how happy I feel. Receiving a lot of money.
$1 million. That's the idea. It's not to have it, it's to imbue it.
No, yes, I don't even know. I'm just, this opportunity is something that I will never, ever not take for granted, but it will be a big part of my heart. Having it, looking back, the videos, the memories will always replay in my head. So thank you.
So, I was in Beverly's piece, and I just want to say I appreciate the patience. Because first of all, I'm Jamaican, so I know nothing of, Latin dance for real. I don't know the difference between bachata, merengue, salsa. But after this, I was telling them, like, I'm Hispanic by association. we was having practice, and like they was talking in Spanish, and I was understanding. Like it was like a whole new thing for me. So like I just appreciate just getting to know you guys, and like we just really became a dance family, and I appreciated that the most in like 5 years. So
So coming into Beverly's piece, after being in so much contemporary, it's like I have a background in Latin music, but it's like I never used it. So it's like she showed me that even though I got contemporary, I got this other styles, I could literally put that in the blender and something good will come out of it. As you can see, this was one of those cases in the piece, and also that you could actually tell a story through dancing. Like it's literally no joke. People actually pour their hearts into a dance, and if you look really deep into it, there's something that you can take from it, regardless of what it is.
Well, y'all, we gotta wrap it up.
So, sorry, one
Go
quick
ahead.
announcement. Please stay tuned on Instagram, Adidas NYC, and the Lehman page, MMTD.
Yeah.
I said it right? Because Adidas did sponsor their costumes that they're wearing. They also came into our rehearsal process and they had a whole other costume. And then I'm gonna have to figure out how to give it to y'all, but they also have a third costume that we didn't get to use. So they literally poured in $10,000 into them and what they look like from head to toe. And they're also gonna create like a video campaign that's gonna go up with Lehman MTD. You saw, I was like, go through the bank, honey. And also on an Adidas NYC page, and also I'll be posting on my page, and they better post too. But there'll be a clip of just like the process, the performance, and a bit of a panel that Adidas held for Hispanic Heritage Month. So there'll be a video for that. So. This camera right there.
Can I also just say one other thing? There was also something beautiful about this process that resonated with me, that it was just like pay it forward. Everything doesn't have to be about you. You don't have to take every opportunity, but you know somebody who can do this thing. And with like Adidas stepping in, like they didn't have to do that. Jason brought in his sister Dahlia, who helped me tremendously. Solo, Amy pushing us to improvise, and MX, like all of these things come together. And so like I'm gonna pay that forward, and I'm gonna push my students to improvise and do all this other stuff. So thank y'all for that.
And thank you all for